Welcome to season 4. Nope.
Welcome to season 3 of Agents of Travel.
Episode 4 of season 3. Hopefully you've been in season 3 for a little bit.
Yeah,
You've been hanging around
been
with
enjoying
us.
it. But
Yeah.
we always like to welcome you.
Yeah, in case you missed the first several episodes of this season, I would recommend go back and take a look. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, but today we have an awesome guest.
Janie Stolar. I used to work with her at Smosh. She was a writer at Smosh.
Janie is also on Dropout on the show Smarty Pants. She is very smart, very funny.
Mm-hmm. She likes to travel a lot. After this recording, she went to Portland. And we should have her back on to talk about her trip to Portland.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's got nothing to plug, but you can check her out, Janie Fierce on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let's get right on into the interview.
Woo. Gary's just making intense eye contact with me now that I took the pig ear away.
Yeah.
God, it's fine.
Oh,
Danny, you're okay. You're okay.
Do you remember the day when this is many days at Smosh, when we
Yes.
were having lunch and the two of us just talked about, like, what are we going to do with our lives? Do you remember that?
I feel like I've had that conversation many times.
That wasn't a unique
Yeah.
conversation.
I'm like,
If you thought that was special, it wasn't.
I came here to say it changed my life.
What?
No, it didn't.
Because I still don't know. I still don't know
I don't
what
know
I'm going to do
either.
with
I
my
know.
life.
But I think I found it comforting just to have an honest conversation.
Yeah.
To be like, what are we doing
Yeah.
in this Hollywood world?
I
Well,
know, especially now more than ever.
Yeah,
than
now that
ever.
Hollywood, now that LA is going the way of Detroit.
Yes. And they're filming in where did I read? It's not even Georgia anymore. It's another Albuquerque.
Oh,
New
I mean,
Mexico?
Yeah.
I'd live there.
I know. I'd
All right.
love
That'd be
there too.
sick.
Actually, a place I'd want to live.
Well, let's go.
I know.
This is the best thing that could
I
have
know.
happened. to
Yeah,
the
but our
industry.
writers' room's going to be in Albuquerque. Well, I guess they're
I
not
mean,
going
they're
to have
gonna be
any writers'
virtual,
rooms. They're
I
just going to be
guess.
doing AI.
AI writers'
AI.
rooms.
It's just going to be six
Hold for
different.
shake.
Yeah, hold for shake. It's going to be 6 different AI programs
All
on
running.
a Zoom call.
That's going to be kind of funny thinking about an AI program like Disney where you'd be like, I align more with the Cartoon Network AI
Right.
than the Nickelodeon AI.
And just
you know?
generating the same thing, like well, I mean, they're kind of already doing that.
Yeah.
It's kind of already happening.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I know. I was
We're already here.
I watched the preview for Twisters
Oh
today,
yeah.
and I was like, yeah,
Okay.
we
Was it
deserve
AI
it.
generated?
No, but it's
Oh.
just like it looks
You know
like
what,
it might
though?
as well be.
The 2 best movies I saw this year were completely new IP. Thelma. I don't know if
Oh,
you've
that
seen
looks
it.
fun.
It's
No.
great.
That looks
June
fun.
Squibb is an action star in
Okay.
her 90s, and it's really sweet and really funny. And then I really like Challengers.
Yeah, I
Cool.
know. We
See
need to watch
it?
that.
No,
Okay,
we
I like
haven't
that.
seen
Yeah.
a movie in theaters this year.
A lot of them aren't good.
I know. Well, and Danny has separation
And Dan,
anxiety.
you can't.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they don't
Yeah.
have dog.
They don't have
movies
dog
yet.
movies yet.
Yet.
He's
Yet.
going to be really
We're
excited
working
when
on
that
it. Yeah.
But we're actually not here to talk about dog movies with
Oh.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've actually, so there's something we need to tell you.
Yeah. We got to get this off our chest.
Feel really bad about it, but
Yeah.
we are not actually just Rachel and Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah, we have secret identities,
Okay.
aliases, code names.
Another one?
Is there a 4th? I'm gonna stop at 3. My secret identity, my name, my code name, my alias is. Oh wait! First off, we're secret agents for
Okay.
the National Travel and Tourism Office.
Question mark?
Office.
Office.
Ntato.
Yeah.
Tato.
Ntato.
Mm-hmm.
And my secret agent name is Secret Agent Sticky Toffee Pudding because that's my favorite dessert from the UK.
I am Secret Agent Pannenkoeken,
Right.
which is a Dutch pancake.
Wow.
She's Dutch.
And you're
Yeah.
So are you Dutch?
Mm-hmm.
And you are British?
I mean, I'm a bunch of things.
Wow.
I like to think I'm Greek, but this is a big argument Rachel and I have.
We won't get into
We
it.
won't get into
it.
it. Well, my mind is blown, but it does make sense. I have to be honest.
Really?
You both
What
seem-
about it makes sense?
You're so mysterious.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
And you are currently dressed like Neo and Morpheus. And I was
Yeah.
like, when I walked in, I was like, it's just a Monday night. I don't know why we're
But-
yeah, it's just a Monday night.
Yeah.
Does it
You
look
should see us on the weekend.
does it look cool though?
Yeah, does it look
You
cool?
guys
Does it look cool?
So cool.
Like
You look so
awesome?
cool. Yeah, you look awesome.
Like awesome. Okay. I freaking
You tell us.
I freaking told you. It
I
looked
know.
cool.
I didn't believe you.
You guys
I
look
was
awesome.
like,
You
Thank
look
you
cool
so
and
much.
I
awesome.
can't wear
Oh
all
my
this black
gosh.
leather.
It's
Okay.
very warm. It's summer.
I don't know how I'm gonna focus with all these compliments.
Wow.
Oh, so we are secret agents, but we're secret agents in training right now, and we are working our way up in the agency, and we need to interrogate you.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You consent to interrogation?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Great.
Okay.
We are going to interrogate you about all of your best and brightest travel memories. And at the end of this, we will both be pitching you a dream trip.
I need
which-
it.
Yes, and
I
then you'll
need it.
choose.
This feels really important. And like, I don't know. I just sometimes things align in ways you don't expect. I didn't expect you to both be secret agents in training, but it all makes sense. And let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Question number 1.
Yeah.
What was the first trip that turned you on to travel?
Okay. I mean, there's so many. I grew up in Chicago where you have to be quite deliberate about leaving because you're kind of in.
Like, were you in Chicago?
I was in the suburbs.
Okay.
So like Chicago has lots
Still,
to offer,
yeah.
but if you want to go anywhere else, you
Yeah.
gotta really want to go. You want to
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
get
yeah.
there. So my family and I, our like big trip that I love growing up was like going to Maine and just going, oh, this is really different. Like this
Yeah.
is a very nice world, and I feel like kind of a different person. And I
What?
used to.
Okay, wait. Who are you in Maine?
And who
And
are you in
also-
Chicago?
And also, what about Maine is like, wow, this is different world.
So like I was really interested in like marine life and marine biology and animals. And I was like, okay, here I'm a marine biologist. That was my little identity.
Wow.
And
Wait,
then-
and who were you in Chicago?
I was just a girl in
Okay.
the
Oh.
snow.
Snow girl to
Snow
marine
girl.
biology.
Did you have a dolphin trapper keeper?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did. I did.
Whoa.
And I had all these fantasies about like, I don't know, being like a little girl on the prairie in like the movie 1776 and all these like, I had fantasies about American history I later learned were wrong. But I love
Whoa,
learning
but
about
like
Yeah.
prairie life appealed to you.
a hundo p. I wanted to live off the
Whoa.
land in a tree. I wanted to live in the rocks. I wanted to live in a lobster cage. I was like, I don't belong in the snow. I mean, Maine has snow. Famously
Yeah.
has snow.
Yeah.
I'm just like blown away because I grew up on a farm and reading Little House on the Prairie. I was like, this is boring as shit.
Oh my gosh. I wore a bonnet to school. I was obsessed with Little House on the
Wow.
Prairie.
Were you into the American Girl?
Yeah, yeah.
Which one was that?
Kirsten, who was
Kirsten.
the Swedish immigrant who wore a gorgeous blue dress.
She
So
did.
I had all these American fantasies, and I loved America. I was like, this place is amazing.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. Were your parents really into America too, or just you? All
We're
right.
from Detroit, so a lot of our trips were to visit my grandparents in Detroit. So I
Gotcha.
think leaving that was like really exciting. And then we traveled and we saw great things. But then like the big game change for me was that I studied abroad in Scotland, and then after college I lived in France for a year.
Whoa.
And I remember having like, and this is, oh my God, I'm going to be so jingoistic and like patriotic. But I
Yeah.
remember there's so much I love. And I was like, oh my God, I'm moving to Europe. This is amazing. And I still miss parts of America. I can't believe
Yeah.
I'm saying this out loud. I'm like
No,
processing
I
as we
get
speak.
it. I get it. I get
this
it.
is still
I-
your home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
it is unfortunately true.
I don't- maybe you'll relate to this, but one of the things that I always miss when I'm like spending long amount of time outside of America is the national park aesthetic, the brown and
Yes.
yellow.
Yes.
I don't know, like the lodges, and, like
Yes.
that brown and yellow to me.
It's like home unpretentious,
yeah.
and it's like rustic and natural. And I feel like
Yeah.
I had this fantasy. I'd be like Amelie, like riding around in a scooter, and it would be amazing, and I'd blend right in. And I had so much trouble blending in, and I found it to be not that hospitable. And I appreciated getting to travel around Europe, and I saw so many amazing things. So that kind of started me on like a bit of a solo travel thing. And I was doing couch surfing, which back in the
I've
day
done
was
couch surfing.
I
Yeah,
think
it was
people
great.
don't do that anymore, but
Yeah, I don't
it
think
was
so.
awesome. Like you just
Yeah.
get to meet different people, and that was great. And then I remember feeling like, wow, the world is just like such a big oyster, and I want to see it. And I don't necessarily want to move to all these places. I love traveling and exploring. So that was like a big shift for me about like, oh, I'm okay to like live somewhere and travel.
What were you doing in France? Were you?
I was teaching English.
Okay, great.
Where?
In outside Lyon.
Okay.
And I had so much trouble finding housing the whole time and like like basic necessities. It was really hard. So I have friends that have done the same program and had more success. I think I just was incapable and my French wasn't great and I got like laughed at and it was really tough. It was a good wake up call. The fantasy was fully squashed.
Man,
Yeah.
that's such a bummer because part of me wishes I had done that after college.
I think it can be really, I have a friend that did it in her adulthood and she loved it. And it's also easier now because you have so many tools like Google Translate and so many things we didn't have. A smartphone. Like I was out there trying to figure out stuff on, you know, like we didn't even have, I had Facebook, I had a dumb phone. I didn't have anything that we have now. I was like,
just Snake on the phone.
Exactly.
You're like, I miss home. I'll play Snake.
Exactly.
Wait, what did you miss like the most when you were feeling like homesick?
Good question. I miss deep dish pizza a lot. I miss a lot. And I miss, I remember when I went to, so I moved to New York after that. And I remember I got on a train and everyone was sweaty and gross.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, I'm home. Like everyone here looks like shit because I just felt like when I was in France, I always looked, and I felt this. It's funny. I felt this in Japan where I was like, I feel disgusting. I am an ogre here. I'm like weirdly feeling bigger and louder and just messier than everyone else. And I remember going back when I was in New York, I was like, wow, I could truly fart and no one would bat an eye.
Yeah. It's hard when you're not a fashion girly.
Exactly.
I felt similar when we were in Japan, especially because in Tokyo, fashion was just like peak.
Yes.
Like all of the TikTok videos I watch on fashion are like everybody looked like that. And I like am like I have one pair of jeans and a stained coat.
Did you do any clothing shopping there?
I was so tempted to.
We tried. Yeah, we went to a few vintage shops.
There was a Letterman's jacket that said Burbank on it.
Oh my God.
And another one with Modesto. And we were like, we have to get this. And then we
didn't.
We kind of found the right clothing places a little too late in our trip because we tried the vintage places and they were so expensive. And all of them were just like the same sweater.
Well, and they were all advertised as from America.
Right.
Yeah.
I noticed
like,
that
I'll
too.
just buy that when I'm
like
back.
big Levi's and like just a lot of denim.
Yeah.
And then I went into some clothing stores and I've never had this in America. I didn't fit into the clothes and there would be no extra sizes. And they would be like, sorry, you just don't fit into the Japanese clothes. I was like, sorry, ogre.
Well, they're starting to do that in America. There's some
Really?
stores that do that. Yeah.
That they're just one size.
They're just
That's
one size and
crazy.
they market it as fits all, but it's like
But it
it's like
doesn't.
extra small.
Oh my God.
It's like a problem.
That's a problem.
I'm not the one to speak on it. I've just heard people talking about
No,
this.
but speak on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I the second time I was in Japan, I went to Japan, then I went to India for 3 months, and then when I kind of like grew my hair out, grew my beard out, and like became what a white man does in India.
Yeah.
And then
Like the Beatles.
Exactly. And then when I
like the
came back to
Beatles.
Japan, I felt
Oh, I bet.
awful. I felt like I was just like on the subway going to my friend's place and just like, oh wow, I gotta clean myself up. I need to. I can't. Everybody's avoiding me.
Haircut
Yeah, this is like a busy train, and my end is empty.
And it's funny,
Everybody's
it's
avoiding
like,
me.
you think about like Harajuku and like these neighborhoods that have like really crazy cool style.
Yeah.
But for the most part, most people I saw in Tokyo were wearing all black or
Yeah.
like just earth tones, very neutral clothing, which I thought was
Yeah.
true in France too. Like everyone dressed the same. And you see it in many different cities where you start to go, oh, everyone looks the same. But there I was like, oh, I'm wearing shorts and I feel like they're going to kill me.
Well, it's also, I think, speaks to like, I always have like many people an urge to like want to just blend in and not stand
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And I think like for me in the middle of our Japan trip, I was like, Well, one, I'm like white. That's just like simply not going to happen here. So I need to just give up and be
Give
like,
up.
Yeah.
I think there's also like for me the urge to like kind of hide that I'm a stinky American. Like I even get like really like happy when people like think I'm like from Germany or somewhere,
Same,
where I'm like, oh, good,
same.
I'm not associated with like the bad one.
100%. I'd be polite anyway, but I'm so polite and I'm so
Yeah.
apologetic. And I feel like it's because I'm like trying to just not represent the worst, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so this first trip was to Maine.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm like a bush. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like preppy. I mean, it's just stuff
Yeah,
I just never knew that existed.
and you got to be other. You
That's
got
what
to
I felt.
experience being another person.
Yeah.
When you're in another
You
place.
try on a different life. You try
Yeah.
in Colonial Williamsburg. You try on, and I felt like, I just loved it. Like, I don't know. That trip stands out to me just because it was so different.
Yeah.
And I feel like so later in life, like jumping ahead, I've really learned to love, become obsessed with solo travel and like doing these long expeditions alone. And I think the thing is still true that was true of those trips is like, oh, if I shed my routine and my associations, I could literally be anybody. Who am I if you strip it all away and you put me in a completely different context? And so I think that's what I like about travel is just being like, I don't know, I'm just hanging out with like this core version of myself that doesn't fit in anywhere and like doesn't know where she belongs. So like she can just go anywhere and she's a Maine girl. I don't know.
I'm so excited to hear more about this, but I'll show some restraint. So
I know I'm going off structure.
Okay. No. Okay. Tell us a story about your best trip.
Oh my God. Okay. This is a hard question. Let me share. Like everyone's like, oh
I
my
know
God, so many.
nobody's had one. I don't think anybody's had one best trip.
Gosh,
So,
okay. No
tell
pressure.
us a story from one of your
one
top
my
trips,
faves.
or
Okay.
multiple stories from multiple top trips, or
Okay. So can you say post-pandemic? I don't know. But like it was
yeah.
when we were vaccinated and I had been dumped on my ass, I did a solo trip to the north of Spain, like San Sebastian.
Yeah.
And Portugal for a month. And the San Sebastian part was just booked off of watching an Anthony Bourdain episode, and it looked really beautiful. And I love Anthony Bourdain, and I was like, that's enough. And it lived up to it. It was so stunning, and everyone there was warm, and it was hiking, and it was like vegetarian, amazing food, and everyone was so kind. And I did these crazy hikes, and I just went on fishing boats and did whatever I wanted. And when I did one hike, I ended up like, it felt like magic. I ended up in this place that I had a view of the ocean that had like a plastic lawn chair there. And I don't know if it was like anyone's property or what. And I just remember thinking, how did I end up here? I'm this person from Chicago who has no connection to this country. I have no idea where I am. No one could find me if they were looking for me. And there's this chair for me. And I just sat there and I just like looked at the water and I was like, this is awesome. And then I hiked down. This was like on the Camino del Santiago, and I hiked down and I was hungry, and I happened upon a vegetarian restaurant, and this guy who was the server there, he put down a plate of carrots on my table, and this sounds really weird, but he like wafted the smell to my nose, and then he kissed the top of my head, and it wasn't creepy. I felt so loved.
How old was he?
He was probably in his 40s.
Okay, so not even a grandpa.
He wasn't a grandpa.
Yeah.
He was just a really non-sexually nice man.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first time I realized, actually, if you're like a solo woman who is polite and excited and adventurous, people kind of reward you. Like that was the first time I had that, like, I just did something really brave and I just found myself here, and this guy liked that, and he like got that I was excited to try this place. So that was the big magical like turning point in solo travel for me. And then on that same trip, I went to Portugal and I challenged myself. Like I rented a car and I drove around and I had the best time. And I found this place I stayed was like an old castle. And it sounds like a dream. I was like staying with this woman, and she loved that I was solo traveling. And she was like, I'm going to hook you up with a place only locals know. And I was like, great. Okay, great. So I put the place in Google Maps and I'm driving the car. And then I realize I'm driving on a grassy, like not real road. And I look ahead and I'm kind of next to like the side of a cliff, to be honest. And I look ahead and there's a gate. So there was no exit. I was on like a little path to get to this restaurant in a car in the middle of Portugal, totally alone with no contacts. And I had to back down a grassy ledge. And it was the feeling, that was the feeling of like, it has to be me. I have to figure this out. There's no one coming to save me. I've really, truly backed myself into a corner here. Yeah. And so I backed myself out. And the reward there was I went and the people at this restaurant, I told them who I knew. And it looked closed. And they opened a thing. And I went in and it was a garage. And there was all these locals. They were watching soccer. And like, they looked at me and I was such a fish out of water. It was such a cool feeling. And again, it's like when you take these risks and you do things that push you out of your comfort zone, people will be warm to you and give you cool access to things. And you'll feel so rewarded when you finally sit down and you like, you just like eat a tomato and you're like, this is the best meal of my life. Yeah. So that trip was awesome.
So as a vegetarian, well, two things. I would love solo travel for that same reason.
Yeah.
Because I've proven to myself time and time again that I can do this.
Yes.
I can do stuff that I like a kid from the suburbs. I thought I was incapable of adventure, doing adventurous things, doing these hard things. But then the other thing, as also a vegetarian, what did you eat there?
Ooh, in Portugal
in that restaurant?
So here's
when I end up at places like that, it's like, we have cod.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So that's the hard thing, because also I'm sure you've had this too, where there's a tension between you want to be hospitable and you don't want to ever be like, excuse me, can you, whatever. You want to just accept what they give you in the hospitality. So they put down a plate of just like fish, which even if I ate, and when I did eat meat, I'm not an adventurous eater like that. I'm not eating just like a big old fish with eyes. And so I just sort of like pushed it around. And I had the tomato on the side and a glass of wine.
So you were really focusing in on that tomato.
Because when you leave America, you do taste tomato and you go,
this is how it should
it should be. And strawberries and like honestly any vegetable, you're like, oh my God.
I know.
We don't do that right here.
No, we
I also like that though, like conversely to your point, Garrett, like learning you can do things on your own, but simultaneously, like it sounded like also learning that like humanity is inherently like warm and welcoming. Like it's actually not like growing up in America, there's so much like stranger danger and all that stuff. And you're like, oh wait, like not everybody wants to kill me. Like people generally
it's so real.
Want to
like,
vibe.
My first instinct when I'm traveling alone is like, oh shoot, am I going to get on someone's property and they're going to shoot me? Like I'm so in that American mindset of the worst could happen, and does happen all the time when you just make a mistake in America. But then when you're out of your comfort zone in another country, you're like, the worst that could happen is someone just is mean to me and I don't understand them and I feel embarrassed. Like I get yelled at and then I go, okay, you're right, I don't know.
My bad.
It's so real.
I've had somebody say back to me, my bad. They're
like, I'm fluent in English, and that doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
That is so
so good.
Okay, that was like
best trip. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love that trip.
So you've had a tasty tomato, but what is the tastiest thing you've eaten on a trip?
Ooh.
Do you consider yourself a food-based
I'm not
traveler?
like a big foodie. I'm more of a I could obsess over any local craft. Like in Japan, obviously, I was obsessed with like even just going. I went to a stationery store called Itoya that had all these stories, and I was there for hours just testing every pen.
Yeah.
And when I went to Mexico and I like took a class on how to make certain like clothing. I mean, it's whatever the local craft is. That's the thing that I seek out. So food, I'm more of like I like what tastes good, but I'm not going, I do something weird. Especially because when you're solo, you can do this. If I like a restaurant, I'm embarrassed to say this, I go every night.
You become a local.
Yeah.
No, I've well, I mean, it depends on where you are. Mexico City, yes.
Yeah.
I'll also say, like, we are not like you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's embarrassing that I'm not trying every craft, but for me with food, that's like one of the main events.
One of the main events.
I'm going out everywhere. But
I mean, it depends on where I am. I've definitely been in places where I went to the same restaurant every night.
And as a vegetarian,
Yeah.
you do sometimes go, I'm in this culture where like I know the options are limited. So this place, I've gone to literally a vegetarian restaurant in Lisbon like 6 times because it was so good. AO26. Have you been?
Yes. Yeah, we went there.
The mushroom one?
So
no,
good.
that's not the mushroom one.
Oh,
wait, right?
where they made that traditional
the
Portuguese
traditional
food.
Portuguese
It's a nice restaurant.
Have you been to the mushroom restaurant in Lisbon?
No.
It's incredible.
Ooh,
I forget the name of it.
And then in Japan, I love ramen. So there were a couple places that had vegan ramen that I went to a few times. So that's another thing where I'm like, the person I was with would get sick of the food, but if I like something, I'm happy to just keep eating it. And in Japan, I think some of the best food was the baked goods. I didn't anticipate how good the bakeries were. It was exquisite.
They're incredible.
So I think the best meal I had was in Tokyo or outside Tokyo. I did this thing called Nagomi Home Visit. Have you done it?
No, but
I think I told you about it.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like a nonprofit that hooks you up with, I think it's all older Japanese people. You go to their home, they cook a meal with you, you have a nice time, and you go home. Like they want to welcome you. So I went 45 minutes on a train. It was this woman named Marie who we made a beautiful meal together. She's also a baker. Like she's just so cool. And we had this amazing Japanese meal, and she was so kind, and I found out she is also a solo traveler. So we connected about that, and we talked about places we've traveled together or like traveled at the same places, whatever. And she was planning her next trip, and it was just I think that memory is like my favorite meal memory. And yeah, the best food I've eaten, it's always just truly like some piece of bread in Italy or something. Simple.
I do want to ask though, like, how do you usually approach like looking for stuff like that?
Okay,
like,
so this is like most of my fun because I love when you spend so much time traveling and finding all these gems, and then when you do it and it's cool, you're also so proud of yourself because you're like, I found this thing.
I did that.
I planned this awesome trip. So Reddit's my number one, and Japan Travel Tips has millions of people on it. There's these huge travel communities. I do a lot of Reddit, and then I also, it's like Anthony Bourdain gives me a sense of like a city, but every time I've tried to go to a restaurant he recommends, it's at that point touristy.
I know,
and it's too late.
it's over.
And guidebooks too, I think they're too, things change too quickly. It's too limiting.
Yeah.
So it's mostly Reddit and recommendations. And then sometimes I do TikTok just to get like the visuals of what it actually looks like, which I think can be helpful because I've done some traveling where it's like, oh, everyone said this thing is cool, but had I actually seen how touristy it was, maybe I would have swerved it. So I think TikTok and Reddit are like my go-tos and recommendations from people.
Because I've been thinking lately, like, I think about like LA and the places. What would the guidebook say to go to in LA? And I'm like,
and this is a really hard city to travel in. Like I actually think about that a lot. I don't know what I would recommend or like where to even stay. And
but like food wise, like the guidebooks wouldn't have the stuff that I'm looking for.
No,
wouldn't have like the fun restaurants to eat at.
I honestly think it's why a lot of people when they come to LA, they're like, it's not that great.
Yeah,
but it's like it's because it's a tough note to crack as far as like what is worth visiting or what is cool.
I totally agree. And because things are so spread out, if you only have a limited amount of time, it is hard to pack a lot. Like we go to New York, you can see a million things and try a million different foods. But here it's like you gotta make more choices and be more deliberate, I think.
Because there's such great food here.
Yeah.
There's really good food here in LA.
Yeah, like every kind.
Every kind of food is here. But it's just hard. It's harder to get to it. It's hard to know which ones are good.
Or like to have your finger on the pulse of like which pop-ups up tonight at this bar.
Yeah, totally.
Because like LA, there's so many restaurants run by marketing teams over like chefs. But that's a whole other thing.
We digress.
Yeah.
We're like, let's preach food to the person who admitted they
I
don't.
know.
That's not a priority.
Okay. So this may be more up your alley. What has been? No, I jumped ahead because
Yep.
What tourist attraction lived up to the hype? Oh wow. Okay, you look like you.
It's always nature. It's always nature. It's never a disappointment. Like you don't go to Yosemite and go, oh, that waterfall was overrated. Like
unless you're 8.
Yeah, I'll say I did do that to my mom. We went to I think I was like 12. I was in 7th grade. We went to Bryce Canyon, which if I went now, like
Yeah.
I would be like, oh, whoa, like because the rock formations are so special and incredible. I was such a little shit, and I wanted to be reading Harry Potter.
I get that.
That I was like, it's just a pile of rocks.
I get that.
Kind
I
of
get that.
just to be an asshole.
I went to Paris when I was younger, and I was like, just thinking about a boy the whole time. You know what I mean? But I will say, like, and never overrated is, especially in Europe, a park.
Oh,
Like in
yeah.
Paris, the parks.
Yeah.
You could just park yourself in that little park and just watch people walk by, and you're gonna have the best day of your life.
That is
Yep.
my favorite. Yeah.
too, yeah.
My favorite thing to do, a park or a cafe.
Or
just
a cafe.
sit down and watch people.
And just watch people.
Yep.
It's never bad. And like honestly, the less touristy parks are usually better if you try
Yeah.
to go more local or cafe like that.
Yeah.
But I just love people watching, so I think parks, nature, Parc Monceau in Paris is my favorite. I just could sit there all day. And then like Tuscany, like the rolling hills of Tuscany. I mean, sure, it's like on a postcard, but then you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that is as beautiful as you could ever possibly imagine. So those are mine that stand out to me.
Well, and when you're people watching, like let's say you're at the park in Paris you mentioned, you're just like, are you just sitting there on a bench watching the people go by?
Yeah. What I loved in Lisbon, there's parks that have vendors that have coffee and drinks and all day. So you can just, whatever time of day, you can just, have your little drink and everyone else is there and you see the day go by. And I actually had, again, it's like a solo travel thing. I had people come up and women, mostly older women, just come up and like talk to me.
What did they want to talk about?
It's hard because I've since taken Portuguese lessons because it was so inspiring to me to be like, wow, I wish I could have had those deeper conversations with these women. But they just talk. They they ask me what I'm doing because it's weird for them to be like, why is this person just sitting there alone, just minding your own business? It's like they're delighted, but hey, what's up?
I love that they know their beat so well. They're like, this is out of place.
This is out of place.
Better
It's out of place.
investigate.
Exactly. I've had that too, because I think solo, it is like unusual. There's certain things I don't do solo. I would never do like more raucous activities are weird if you go alone, like,
Clubbing.
Clubbing. And I try
A raucous clubbing night.
Raucous,
Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't club
people either. Right? I'm so square. I'm acting like that's why I wouldn't. Every night I'm like in bed with chocolate by 8, planning my next day. Like I'm watching local TV. That's what I like to do at night.
That sounds great.
I love watching local TV.
That's one of my favorite things. And also like the grocery store. I'm so lame.
Yes.
That's all I like.
I love grocery.
I love grocery stores. I could
in
spend all
other
day
countries.
there.
I've also fallen in love with malls in other
Oh
countries.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those are so fun.
Yeah.
Japan had some
Oh,
crazy
yeah.
malls.
No, Japan is insane.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
So,
awesome.
There's some stuff that I don't do like alone, but the stuff that I do alone, I love when people go. I get this a lot. It's like, are you here? You're here alone? Oh, and it's kind of like, I don't know if they mean it like that's sad, but I sometimes think they mean it like, I don't know if I would do that. Or
Yeah.
And I take it as a compliment. It's not like, oh, she's pathetic, she's alone. And the other thing, this is just a sidebar, I started to realize when I hear other Americans, when I'm just sitting there like minding my own business, I start to notice how boring all the conversations are. And anytime I feel like, oh, I wish I was with somebody, I hear how couples are fighting. People don't want to be doing what they're doing. They're complaining. It's too hot out. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I'm alone.
Yeah.
I feel like one of my
Yeah.
favorite genres of eavesdropping though is couple fighting at the airport.
I love couples fighting at the airport.
It's like my favorite TV is
too.
like when like you see a man just like angrily pulling a suitcase and you're
Yeah.
like, this isn't going well.
The trip
This
hasn't
is
even
so
started.
funny." The human drama I live
love
for.
it. I love it.
I have a question that's not on this list, but like with solo travel, with all the solo travel you've done, have you made friends that you still keep in touch with? while
Yeah, I
traveling?
mean, it's funny. There was, in Japan, I met a sugar baby and a sugar daddy type
Yeah,
vibe,
yeah.
and she and I follow each other on Instagram, but we
Awesome.
haven't
Cute.
kept in touch. But she's like, if you come back to Japan, we'll hang out. I was
Yeah.
like, that would be awesome. Can you hook me up?
Yeah.
So there's some people like that, or it'll be, I've had some like I took a sewing class in Mexico, and I still stay in touch with the teacher from that. There's like a
Awesome.
few. It's,
Yeah.
I have like little connections, but not good friends. I wish it was easier to make friends in other countries, and even in America when you're traveling, it's hard to bridge the gap. But I love making those passing friends and the passing connections that you get in somewhere else.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things about
Do you keep in touch with people?
There's a few. Yeah.
Nice.
There's one that I've been friends with Lena. Been friends with her since we met in Bosnia in 2006.
Wow.
And she came out to visit like
last year.
Where is she from?
France.
Wow,
And
that's
I've stayed
so
with
cool.
her a bunch. And
See, that's the best, because then you make these friends you can stay with.
yes,
That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And just like other friends like
I
that.
gotta start like really forcing this.
Yeah, I know. It's always like, well, I mean, I feel like times that it's worked for me. Although Lena wasn't this, but it's like, I signed up to help out for a day at this school, or like, like have problems with volunteerism, but like, finding a good one.
Right.
Find a reason to be stuck with each other all day.
Makes sense.
Although it's funny, once we when we were in Berlin, we took this awesome like free walking tour, and we loved it. And we were there with our friend Erica,
Yeah.
and this one lady like really latched on to us, and we're all kind of like, we're all improvisers. We're cool and yes-anding this. But then she kind of tried to like hijack our trip, where she was like, okay, so after this, we're going here at 8 p.m. And we're like, oh, okay. And she was just this like really intense vibe where she started like, telling us what to do. And we were like, how do we get away from this woman?
No, I gotta get away. I'm not in this.
You're not that kind of solo traveler, are you?
No.
Okay.
No. Also, I don't
Hijacking
know.
other.
No. I barely have my own plan. I have like one thing on the list. I think it's so funny. That reminds me of when you see like also I'm so out of touch. I don't know the word bridal parties or bridesmaids. What do you call them? Bachelorette parties.
Bachelorette
Oh.
parties. Yes.
We stare at you blankly.
I know. Yeah.
And you hear your friends, I've never been on one, but you hear your friends talk about like, oh, we have to do this and we have to do that and we have to spend this. I'm like, don't go. Don't let someone else just like make you spend a bunch of money, go somewhere you don't enjoy with people you don't enjoy. Life is too short. Go on and is that rude?
No.
So we get really quiet. No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we're lucky because like we went on a bachelor party together. We were both groomsmen for a friend's wedding, and it was great. But
it was in New Orleans, which was a place I was already dying to go.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah, that was the perfect scenario.
And we like the people. We like, it was like
you like the people.
Yeah, but wedding culture in general, I do get that it's like, man, it's like. Even a wedding where we weren't the groom's people, we still ended up spending like $1,000 each to like make it happen.
And you can't say no. And I have a friend that just was like in Spain, and I was asking about it. He's like, I didn't get to see it. I just went to a wedding and flew home. And I was like, that's crazy.
Jeez.
So yeah, I'm not into that.
No.
I know.
No.
It's bad.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm done with that. Let's move on to happier things. I'm like, I'm planning my wedding in South Korea.
Down to the minute, and it'll be $20,000.
There are 150 guests, and I expect them all to be there or to never talk to me again.
Exactly.
Okay. What has been your biggest fish out of water moment?
There are so many.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like hesitant to like also, I don't want to like name specifically like countries because it's going to sound bad, because there's experiences where I've been like, oh, that's like an upsetting thing to see. You know what I mean?
I know.
You don't want to give the country a bad review.
I'll give you 3 things that have happened, and I won't name the country.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And then we'll guess no.
Yeah, I know.
That sounds really problematic.
One was a fist fight at the gate at the airport between a gate agent and a passenger because the flight was late.
Turned out they were married and in a fight.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what happened.
Italy.
Great. Yeah, name the country right after. The second one was a human turd in the airplane in the aisle. Okay,
Wow.
guess the country.
Wait, did you see the person do it?
No,
Or
it just was there.
Miraculously, there was a turd.
There was miraculously
Yeah.
a turd, and I was a fish out of water because I was like, I don't really know why.
You're like, people just be shitting on this plane.
Yeah.
And not even in the bathroom.
When I'm in the water, humans use bathrooms.
And then a third was an 18-hour bus ride where someone threw up in the standing toilet that was the bathroom. And so if you had to go to the bathroom, you had to stand in their vomit for 18 hours. So all three of those were, I was like, how did I get here?
Yeah,
I don't want to be here. I don't like it and I want to go home. But on a more pleasant note, I felt like a fish out of water all the time when I was in Japan.
Yeah.
She stuck the landing.
Because I
She
was
landed the
dirty
plane.
and gross and loud, and my suitcase made too much noise as I rolled it down the street. And it's a very quiet country.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's a good point where everything you do feels loud.
Loud. Yes. Yeah. So those are a few.
No, yeah.
Those are pretty good.
I know. I'm always unsure how to talk about like
Stuff like that. I
when
know.
I've traveled to places and like had stuff like that happen, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to badmouth.
And
Like
you
I
don't
enjoy
wanna,
it's just
like,
different.
It's just different, and you don't want to sound like you're generalizing beyond that one experience or like, it's part of it. Also, you sign up for these trips, and sometimes it's like, yeah, this is a weird, to me, thing that's going to happen, and I'm just going to have to roll with it. I'm not going to make a big deal. But those are the moments when you're like, yeah, I am a fish out of water. I don't know when people are fist fighting. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. So those have been odd. It's like, because I think my instinct is always like be polite, blend in, and then if something weird, like really wrong or scary is happening, it's like I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
It's also like a part of like kind of like wanting to believe that if you're in a situation like that you're the kind of like, I'm like Wonder Woman, I just know what to do and I take action. And I'm like, I'm a big freeze girl. I have no idea what's going on. I immediately freeze. I would be nice to anybody.
100%.
Please don't hurt me.
Don't look at me. I'm not here. I want to get out.
And I feel like some places too, those are things that they're used to.
Yeah.
Potentially. Maybe.
Yeah.
And so like my reaction would stand out.
Right.
And so should I just
because that actually does happen sometimes. You look around and there's a bunch of other people just that are unfazed, and you're like, oh, well, then I'm just gonna not.
I guess I'll do that then.
I'll do that. You're not worried.
Cool.
A mother with a kid isn't worried, like I should also not be worried. It's just gonna let it run its course.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. Well, so maybe opposite of these three moments, and if you could step into any moment from your travels anytime you wished, which quintessential perfect moment would you choose?
Ooh. Oh, also, when else I felt like a fish out of water?
Yeah.
My friends made me go to a Mexican resort.
Oh.
I don't belong there. I don't know how to sit still. I didn't like it. Optics were bad. Okay, back to this one. Back to this one.
I know.
I don't like it. I gotta move. I gotta get going.
We do sometimes, and I've done this too on my own. Like maybe a resort style hotel for 2 nights.
Yeah.
In the middle of a big trip.
Right.
As like a break.
Just a break.
But that's all I can.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that kind of stuff. Or like, a cruise. No.
Oh, yeah. I've never done a cruise.
Well, I
don't
feel
know
like
because
there are some people who travel
love it.
for like relaxation, and especially like in American culture, because people are so burnt out.
Yes.
They need like
just
the
turn
trip
off the
is the
brain.
excuse to like just relax and recover. But then there are people who are like adventure travelers, and you're more like, I have to make these 14 days count.
Yeah.
And so it's like a ruthless travel run to like see and experience as much as you can before you have to go back.
I think you're right.
And we tend more towards the second one.
Yeah.
Which is why the 2 days in the middle is nice to just be like, chill for a minute.
And sometimes you have to. I don't know about you, but I get like blisters on my feet, and you're kind of forced at some point to stop moving in a certain, I don't know. When I was in Japan, I was like walking 14 miles a day and in the rain, and my feet got these horrible blisters, and it kind of was like, the Lord said stop. Okay, ideal moment to drop back in. There's so many. I mean, how do I top Maine?
Always trying to get that back.
Yeah, early on.
I think, honestly, there was a moment when I went to, I think it was the feeling of like when I was flying to Italy after I hadn't been traveling for a really long time because of the pandemic and because of life and like career stuff. And I remember getting on the plane and the feeling of like reconnecting with the person who flew to France to live there for a year and going, oh, I'm still that person and my time hasn't run out. Because sometimes I get in the narrative of like, it's too late. The adventures are over. It's time to settle down. Or like, by traveling, you're losing out on the years you're supposed to be settling or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I remember that feeling, like I want to drop into that feeling of like, oh, there's always adventure to be had and you're still that person that like does this stuff. So I think it's more the feeling of that.
Is
you know?
it hard
I
to
get that.
be that version of yourself here or to remember that like you are that person here?
That's a good question. I feel I have trouble with it. You get so sucked into the routine and it can be like, I love, I'll go for new hikes. I'll go to national parks and I love to explore new things and try new restaurants. But like at a certain point, what can you do to like put that into your daily life aside from plan a big trip? I don't really know. I haven't accessed that yet.
I've been, I don't know if this is the answer, but lately, because I'm feeling like kind of set in a routine, you know, like unemployed and like, just like, things aren't going great in LA, the industry right now.
Which also makes it hard to get excited about adventures when you're like, resources and
but I've been writing a Substack, just writing my old travel stories out.
That's cool.
And it's been nice to just kind of get back into those moments and kind of relive some of them and kind of remember like, oh, I am this person. This is still a part of me. This is still like, a part of me that I'm excited about. And it's dormant right now. I don't know when I'll have the money to indulge in this side of me again. But
are you guys on Home Exchange?
No.
I'm on it, and I just did my first one. It was just to Jersey City, but I'm getting all these requests. It's a lot of like European travelers want to come to LA. And so I'm looking into that as a way. You still have to pay for your flights, but it's a much more affordable way to travel. And also, the holiday.
If you're working the holiday, your solo traveling is gone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say a nice way of like. Also, I think sometimes like it's cool to. Like there's traveling, but then like vibing in a city feels different. Yeah.
I love a longer trip because my first instinct is never write about a city. You need give it 24 hours. Places that I go and I end up there. I hate the hotel. I'm there at night. Things look dirty, whatever. The next morning I'm like, oh, I love it. I just needed a little time. And then it takes you a minute and you have to give yourself grace. You misstep. You go to a place you hate. You try something you don't like. And then by a day or two, you'll have found something cool or you found a new area that speaks to you and then you can keep going back. And I got in a argument with a girl I met in Portugal the first time I went there. And because I've been back multiple times to places I love, she had a bus token. She's like, do you guys want this? I'm never going to use it. And I was like, what if you come back? And she was like, I'm never coming back. Why would you go to the same place again? I was like, why wouldn't you? Every time you go, you can see something new or like revisit the place you love. I think I've been to Amsterdam 5 times at this point because I love that city. And no one ever goes, I've seen it all and whatever. Like, and you're a different person when you travel.
And I think it's a thing I think a lot about travel and like have to even deprogram my brain a little bit is like this. It's like it feels like there's this like almost like conquest kind of vibe or like this idea of like I tell you how many countries I've been to. Like
I think because like a lot of the travel we've done recently has been countries I've already been to, and I kind of at first had to be like, but I'm not adding to my country count.
My list.
But it is like even before that I was revisiting places because I love those places. Yeah, they're great.
I also think then it takes off pressure to see everything when you go there because you're never going to see everything and you're going to ruin your time like thinking about the places you missed and that conquest mindset. Yeah. I think if you can go, I've enjoyed if I just get a place in a city for, if I can, 2 weeks, like that's been the best trip. And then I just figure stuff out and go for walks and sit in parks and enjoy my time and get like my own new routine there. Yeah. That's been really nice.
I love when I have a routine in a place I really like, and I'm coming back and I'm like, oh, I love this cafe. I'm going to go back. I know the spots I like.
Same.
Do you do a lot of planning?
I do so much planning, but
Okay.
because I like it, not
Yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
worried, but it's like that's so much fun for me. But I also think the two things I've learned with that are, one is like, you're going to plan something you think is going to be great and it's going to be really bad and you're going to be really hard on yourself. It's okay that not everything is going to be as good as you think. And also sometimes it's okay to abandon the plan entirely and like just decide, I like what I'm doing, I'm staying here, or that doesn't seem right anymore. So you have to have some flexibility. But I also enjoy the planning part. Like the research part of it is so much fun, and figuring out what locals like, and you also Google Maps power user, like making my map and making my plan.
I love
and
my Google Maps.
Me too. And then I don't know how you feel. You've been very generous with yours, but I kind of gatekeep because I think I put a lot of work into mine, and I don't give it away for free for everybody.
Oh.
So
Whoa, wait, what's that about?
Yeah.
So
Did we make the cut?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Wait, but what's it about though?
So I have these intense Google Maps with like everything is bookmarked, everything is categorized. Like it's the whole city is covered in maps of everything I've done, everything I've seen, everything I've learned. I put so much work into that. It's so important to me. And like, first of all, it's my map of things I like. Not everybody wants to go stand in a tile store for 12 hours digging through tiles. Like I get that. So it may not be relevant for everyone. And I don't have a lot of food recommendations. And I don't have any like tourist sites on them. But I feel like plan your own trip. Make it yours. Like, don't do mine, do yours. I don't know. I made the trip I like. So I don't know.
It sounds a little defensive.
But
like you're worried if like the wrong person sees your map that like you'll get.
Well, that's the thing. Mine's perfect for me.
Yeah.
And so if someone else did it and hated it, I would go.
You don't want that liability.
I don't want liability. I honestly like that's the best thing about solo travel is you let your freak flag fly. Like I do the stupidest stuff that I love cats so much. I'll go to any cat thing. I go to like, I love animal. I do weird stuff alone.
Okay, so also these maps seem to be very vulnerable. Because you're basically like, here's all the weird stuff I've done alone.
Yes, it's exactly right. It's like showing someone who I am. You're insightful.
It's like it's your journal.
It's my journal.
Yeah.
That's so real. No, you don't feel that way. Normal people don't feel that way.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a normal versus not normal thing. I think it's just a way that you treat your maps versus how I treat my maps. I have recommended. I have a little bit of that in my Portland maps. A little bit of that.
But I feel like Garrett's very much like an enthusiastic giver, because I think you get really excited over places you've been and you want people to also go there and get hype on it.
Yeah,
that makes sense. There's some places that I feel like people have gone that I recommended and they weren't as jazzed as me about it. And I was a little bit like, oh, that's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like there's stuff that got me so excited and I was like, you have to go. And then they did and they didn't love it. It made me sad.
That
Yeah.
does sound really sad.
I was like, oh, it only changed my life. It's fine.
Yeah. I haven't really done much solo traveling. And also Garrett does most of our planning, which is like
how do you feel about that, having something planned for you?
So it's kind of almost become a problem.
Yeah,
because I always want the solo traveling experience of having figured things out. But because Garrett has so much more travel experience than me, he tends to be like, I feel like sometimes in a relationship, like you source skills to each other. Like, and so Garrett, all of his skills are like so high in travel.
Do the Amazing Race.
I know. I think
we
would do
really
it. It would be
good.
fun. Yeah.
But like Garrett can drive stick and I can't, but at least one of us can. So I always want that experience, but then it's so easy to default to like, Garrett, can you just figure it out? But I went to Spain once by myself, and I tend to want to plan things out more than Garrett because I don't know. I think it helps me feel like a little more grounded in this space. And I always look back at that trip fondly and I'm like, oh gosh, maybe I should solo travel again. Because I think a thing I've gotten a lot better at is post-pandemic and during pandemic having to develop and figure out what I actually do like. And
Yeah.
weird that was an underdeveloped skill,
Same.
but
And being alone and really like cultivating your relationship with yourself, that was huge for me.
yeah, I was like, oh, this is the thing you have to do. It's not inherent. And it
Yeah.
totally is. Because when I was in Spain, I remember feeling like I didn't know what to do. Like I'd be at a restaurant, I didn't know where to look. And a lot of the time I just ended up like drinking sangria and then like napping in parks. Because I would go to a museum and I'd try to read everything.
Right.
And then I'd get really brain drained
Yeah.
and just be exhausted. So that's when I would go
That
sleep
makes
in the
sense.
park.
It kind of sounds nice.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was so great. But then there was it's also hard to fight the feeling of like, am I making the most of this?
I know
and
what
not
you
to
mean.
put too much pressure on it and just let it be what it is.
I totally know what you mean. And like being hard on yourself for like a day that didn't go the best or whatever. I think it's interesting because when I've traveled in relationships, I've always enjoyed it. It's just different. It's like I'm enjoying sharing the experience with someone. I'm enjoying us navigating things together. Like there's a push-pull on the efforts and you like this and I like this, so we're going to find a compromise. So that has its own inherent value, but like then when you are alone, you really are alone with your successes and your failures, and you have to really sit with them. No one's helping you, and also no one's like celebrating with you, which is also weird. If you have a really cool day, you're like,
Yeah.
that's just me. I didn't
Yeah.
I don't have anyone to tell.
Yeah, the highs aren't as high.
The highs aren't as high.
Yeah.
Definitely. When you're like sharing, it's the best when you can share like a funny story with someone. Me, I'm like, oh, it was funny anyway.
Yeah, I know. That's what part of why I started the Substack, because it's just like I don't have a lot of these stories. I don't have anybody to
Yeah,
share it
totally.
with,
Totally.
you know?
I feel like travel blogging also is a lost art that needs to be
Yeah.
brought back.
Yeah.
Travel writing.
Is Danny sleeping? Is he now?
Where is he?
Is he sleeping outside
Is he having
under
dreams?
the stars?
I know. I hear. Hold on one.
I hear him boofing, but I was like, it sounds kind of like sleepy boofing, but maybe he's.
No, I agree. No, I agree.
Blogging?
Blogging,
Yeah.
travel blogging is kind of a lost art because it's all now Instagramming and
That's the thing.
doing reels.
And people feel, I think, more pressure to only show the good stuff, like really edit out the tourists and the
Yes.
bad stuff. I mean, travel shows, travel channels isn't the thing anymore.
Yeah.
The travel media like doesn't exist anymore. It's
yeah,
weird.
there's like shows. It's all celebrities going
Yeah.
to a place.
And then I think TikTok blows places up in a way that's really unfortunate. And
yeah,
you don't get like, it's hard to find the authentic little spots. And I don't know. I found when I was in San Sebastian, one of the best hikes I did was from a travel blog from years ago that I just stumbled on that like isn't popular, but it was a
Yeah.
great story. So I was like, oh, I'll try that out. And it
Yeah.
worked out. So I think travel blogging is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
let's hope it.
All right.
it.
So,
Okay.
is there a local custom you've observed while traveling that you've implemented or wish you'd implemented into your daily life?
I
So, like,
love that
yeah.
question. I know for both of you, it's like the ritual around coffee,
Coffee and cake.
which I think is
Yep.
is it, because when you see how other places don't slurp their like crazy coffee on the go, you're like,
Yeah.
that's how it's
Mhm.
supposed to be. You're supposed to have
Yeah.
enjoy it. I mean, I wish we had places where you could just stop in for like an espresso that felt casual and like a local haunt that doesn't feel like coffee shop, sit with your laptop culture.
When you were in New York,
Mhm.
did you ever go to? I forget the name of the place. It was in Midtown. It was an Italian espresso bar. Where you
No.
stood. And just
It's still there?
I think it's still there,
Ooh,
but
I
it's
wanna
not. It's not
go.
quite what it used to
Oh,
be.
okay.
We went, and I was like, "This isn't quite hitting what I remember."
Yeah.
But it was just like a counter, and you just stood, drank your coffee, got a
Ooh.
tiny pastry, and then got out of there.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it was great.
Ooh, okay. I want to do that.
And then there's a coffee shop here in LA, with no laptops.
Ooh.
And the guy is it's one guy. He's very, he used to be a biochemist, and he treats coffee. It's like this room with just counters that you sit at. Everybody's chatting. I went today, and it was all
No way.
It was all chefs. Like the people next to me were all like, they all worked at Moo's Barbecue.
Cool.
And
This is Garrett's midnight in Paris.
yeah.
Yeah.
But endorphin.
Okay, good to know.
Endorphin, it's
I'll
so
look that
great.
up. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the two things that like I wish I could ritualize were like being on a train.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
drinking.
Rachel's been doing.
I've
In
been
LA?
taking the Metrolink into work and
Good.
like, but it's only for 15 minutes. And I like the first time I brought like a book and my journal and my
Yeah.
like sketch pad. And I was like, I'm going to do all this stuff. And then like the trip is literally 15 minutes. So like I
Wow.
like read 5 pages of my
Yeah.
book.
Oh
and
my
that was it.
god.
But
Oh my god.
it's
Well,
been fun.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
think it's just the slow down of the coffee ritual. Like
Yeah.
that, I think anywhere I go, or tea or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the break in the day being a beautiful, like revered moment that has as much importance as everything else. I haven't incorporated it, but that's like if I
That's
could
the-
take
yeah.
anything, it'd be like the beautiful break.
Well, and I like that you keep emphasizing like slow.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it is just like, I'm thinking even if this happened like in the context of like a company or whatever,
Yes.
and just taking like a slow moment, it's like, because everything is like so immediate.
That's the thing. I
that
mean,
would be
we're not taking a
nice.
2-hour siesta.
Yeah.
Would be nice.
Would be
Yeah. Well,
nice.
we'd be down.
I
I
down.
can right now. I
But
can.
I think everything here is so regimented. We're on like these 15-minute increments.
yeah.
And I think the only culturally acceptable form of taking a break here is having a cigarette, which is really weird because
Yeah.
like we should all be walking around outside or looking at flowers or doing something else. So I would love if we got like more breaks in the day to just live. So
Yeah.
I can't change that, but maybe I can. I can just institute it and not tell anybody.
I would kind of do that at, I worked at this office called Deluxe, and I would kind of just pop out and just like wander around in the neighborhood
Yeah.
for a while because I was like, nobody was keeping track of me. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's monitoring me. And I
think-
was also not doing anything. So I was like, I got to go outside.
I'll say one thing that really helps for it is having a dog.
Right. That makes sense, actually.
Because you have to walk them
You have to
several
walk
times a
your dog.
day, and it was great when I brought them to Smosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do the same as Rachel. Just
That
walk
makes
around the
sense.
neighborhood and
That
kind
makes
of
sense.
explore a little.
Because
bit.
I also think like a lot of our places where we would take breaks in around offices aren't that pleasant.
no,
That's
no,
the other
no, no.
problem.
Yeah,
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Burbank can be gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Rachel
little.
is near us.
It's
Yeah.
a little tough. It's a little tough. But I love that because I also think I'm speaking from like my experience. There's an internal pressure about being at work and feeling like guilty if you take a minute, and you go to another country where they would not even believe you're thinking that. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Our
Yeah.
government gives us health insurance.
Yeah.
We don't care about work.
Don't remind me
Yeah,
of how
exactly.
other
I
countries
know.
do it.
Exactly.
I
But
know.
you can wear shorts here, so.
And that is a worthy trade.
I don't even like shorts.
Really?
Wow.
Do you wear them? You don't. It's like 95 degrees, and you don't wear shorts.
I mean, I will. I just don't.
You don't prefer them?
I
What's
don't
that
prefer
about?
them. What's that? Wow. You're both looking at me now.
Interrogation is
I
fully
know.
turned.
Yeah.
I
It
don't-
also took you a
it's
while.
fine. Yeah.
Garrett used to only wear button ups, and the wearing a t-shirt's like a recent thing.
Do you
for
sweat?
Garrett.
Yeah. But I'm from Portland.
So you're
I'm like
just-
used to layers. I'm used to
It's
like
so hot.
But you're like also like
know.
it's like oddly more formal.
Yeah, I know. I don't know
what
why.
that's
I
about.
don't know what that's about either. That's another podcast. Okay.
I'm
All
starting
right.
a podcast called "What's That About?" Okay, we have a surprise lightning round for you.
Oh God. Okay, let's go.
You ready?
Yeah.
Garrett, can you help me this time?
Yes. Okay. Beach or mountains?
Mountains,
Coffee or tea?
coffee,
Hot or cold?
hot,
City or country?
city,
Beer or wine?
wine,
Wow.
History or like the scene, like the
Oh,
modern
history.
Yeah.
Please don't.
I hate the scene.
Clubs or cafes?
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird,
Hell yeah.
Fancy or casual?
casual,
Fast or slow?
slow.
Yeah. Dogs or cats or cows or monkeys?
Wait, I'm picking the binaries,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying which I prefer. I'm saying which of the or.
Only one survives.
Wait.
Dogs or cats or cows or monkeys?
Which
It's a
one
simple
survives?
Oh,
question.
I thought they were pairs. I thought it was
No,
dogs.
no,
no,
no.
no.
Oh, cats.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Yeah. Okay. We are going to take a second
Oh yeah.
to think up what trip to send you on. This is a tough one. I have no ideas right now. I'm gonna have to let my mind wander a little bit.
Well, it's kind of tough because you've been so many places.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go to the south.
To the south.
I was going to send you.
I know. Okay, so not Mobile. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back.
I'm badder than ever.
Who went first last time? I think I did.
Okay, I'll go first.
Unless I think I can wing it. I mean, not wing it. I mean, we've been off for like 15 minutes.
No, I think I got
something.
this. I think
Okay.
I can sufficiently pitch this.
I paid for a psychic once, and she was so off. It was like,
Wow.
I mean, of course she was.
Yeah.
It's not real. I'm gonna, just say it on
but
record.
they usually are able to read people
Right.
really
But
well.
she just read you opposite.
She read me opposite. She read me wrong.
Wow.
And so I told another spiritual friend, and he's like, sometimes that's what the learning is. You learn what's wrong so that you know what's right. And I was like, well, great. Got my money's worth.
Okay, but it can't work both ways.
It can't work both ways. It absolutely can't work both ways. So I just feel like this is a redemption.
Okay.
And I am going to do exactly what you two tell me to do. I know I pick
Okay.
one, but I'm going to do both. I'm just
Okay.
warning you up front.
Okay.
And
Well-
also, if you tell me, I'm very easily influenced. If you tell me to do anything, I trust you both more than the psychic. I will do exactly what you tell me to do.
Okay, well,
Okay.
it just so happens I have some witchy elements in my trip.
Yes.
Ooh.
Salem.
Salem, Massachusetts. You will go to the animatronic witch hunt exhibit, which I went to as a kid and I thought was so cool.
Me too. And I remember a witch told me not to take her picture because it wouldn't show up.
Whoa.
And I was like,
Whoa.
whoa. And I tried, but she got mad at me.
That's so fucking cool. Okay. As is my way, have you dabbled in South America?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm taking you off the beaten trail
She
because
did say no south.
by South America I meant
No,
Florida.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't go south of here. It has to be north of
Okay.
here.
I can only go in left turns
Yeah.
as well. Okay, so you're an adventurous gal. I'm sure you would consider going to Chile
Yeah.
or Peru or Argentina in a heartbeat.
On the list.
Colombia.
Mhm.
But I'm actually going to take you to Bolivia.
Ooh.
And I'm going to have you go for a month because I know
Interesting.
you like
Yes.
to vibe.
I'm a vibe.
So I'm going to give you opportunities to vibe. First off, I'm going to send you to La Paz, which
Yeah.
is the highest big city at 3,500 feet above sea level. This is a big craft town. They've got silver jewelry, hand-woven rugs, intricate embroidery, and traditional musical instruments such as the quena, the flute, and the charango, the
I'm going
mandolin.
to come back playing all of them.
Yep. You're going to play all of them by the time you leave. And I'm also going to set you up with a workshop to, during your time there, make your own poncho from alpaca fur. So you get a craft and leave with your own poncho.
Oh, I could cry.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
La Paz, I was shocked to find this in my 10 minutes of researching. It's a very witchy city. And the main thing people recommend that you go do is that you go to the Mercado de las Brujas or the witch market. It is this huge witchy craft market. Let me pull up a picture.
I'm so sold.
Well, you haven't heard mine yet.
I'm going to yours too.
I know, but you have to tell
Like frantically searching.
because so we have a boss that we
Oh,
are
oh,
trying
oh,
to.
the
that-
boss,
Yeah, we
the
have to
boss.
like say who won.
Okay, I'll tell the boss.
Yeah.
So it's like this huge like market
Oh
that
my
like it does have like some
God.
skeleton vibes.
Amazing.
But it's true witchy. There are tons of crafts.
I love it.
I was reading it's open at night too. It's very cool. And La Paz as a city is covered in like turquoise, pink, orange buildings everywhere. It's like a feast for the eyes if you're into the like brilliant multicolored buildings, which
Major.
I love.
yeah.
There is also the opportunity to go to the National Museum of Ethnography and Folklore.
Oh, I would spend my life there.
Yeah. So you can get dive into the folklore of the area and the indigenous people of the area there.
I'd never leave.
And I'm going to let you get your future told by an indigenous shaman, which is also a thing you can have happen here.
And if she tells me what's wrong, then I'll know what's right.
Exactly. But you know what? She's going to be right.
She's going to be right.
She's going to be
She's
right.
going to be right.
She's not
Yeah.
a poser.
Oh, no, I
No.
think I would trust this woman.
Yeah.
A big thing you can also do is El Teleférico, which are basically these. Let me just show you a picture. I know I could describe what I should describe what these are because this is a podcast. But like they're like the little dolly. No, what are they called?
Little dollies.
Here, I'll show you guys a picture and you can tell me what they're called. Those guys.
Oh, funicular.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you do that over the city and it's very
That's
beautiful.
awesome.
It looks really cool.
What's the temperature? What's the vibe on the weather here?
Because it's at high altitude, it would be like I could either send you during February if you want to catch Carnival, which La Paz also does. But I would most likely send you like when it's kind of like it's going to be like light jacket weather.
I love light jacket weather.
Okay.
So also around here, you'll be eating tucumanas, which are a deep fried pastry accompanied with sauces. They're like an indigenous pastry that's basically like the Bolivian empanada. So you'll get your bread in.
I gotta
get
get
my
my
bread
bread in.
Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say you liked bread, but
I love bread.
we knew.
In case you're wondering what Bolivia is like culturally, it's a combination of Indian and European cultural influences. And
Fascinating.
like we were saying, very warm, very lovely, very accommodating, welcoming folk who are just like excited to share their culture and
I'm in.
excited you're there.
I'm so in.
So I'm also going to take you to Altiplano, which I will also show you a picture of. It's got alpacas, desert, and beautiful mountains.
Wow. I love alpacas.
What?
I do too.
You didn't say that. We should add that. We should add that. We should
add
have had
it.
that. Dogs, cats,
So
cows,
it's
monkeys,
like
alpacas.
It's like you've got like the very dry desert where the alpacas be chilling with like gorgeous mountains in the background.
Ooh.
I'll also send you to the Valle de la Luna, which is another. There's gonna be some like very majestic desert travel.
Wow.
So that and the Uyuni Salt Flat, which is I'm so bad at doing this with just one hand, but that's okay. Uyuni. Like some of the driest places in the world, but very cool and very naturally spectacular. And then I'm going to have you go to Tarija, which is wine country.
Oh,
so you'll be in a beautiful vineyard, staying at a
You
very
did say
nice
wine
hotel.
really quick.
Yes. And you will also, I'm also going to send you to Tiwanaku, which is a UNESCO listed archaeological site. Sorry. And so that will be out of La Paz, but it's like old temples, some of the most ancient civilizations, and I'll send you with a guide so you can learn all about it.
I am the
'cause I
person in
like
the
to
front
be
of the group
rooted.
who's asking all the questions. I love a
Yes.
guide. I love an archaeological
Oh.
site. I'm going to be there.
I want to know where I am.
Yeah, same.
And then finally, I'm going to end your trip at Lake Titicaca.
Wait,
Which-
I've heard of that. I didn't know that was in Bolivia.
Yeah,
Oh.
it is. And it's really gorgeous.
Everybody's heard of.
I mean,
Lake
we all
Titicaca.
Gary says it.
It's not just a funny name.
It's
We've
beautiful.
all been in elementary school.
Basically, there's this like beautiful blue, like wide lake with like these wonderful yellow boats that you can stay on, or in these like cute little huts. But I'm gonna have you stay on one of these like gorgeous yellow and blue boats, and you'll just kind of like.
Wow.
I just want you to take a couple of days to just kind of like reflect, read, vibe.
Think
like,
about what the
be off your
shaman told
phone, Think
me.
about what the shaman. Yeah, this is post shaman. So you're really just kind of like, it's a chance to like connect with yourself in the peace of beautiful nature with like this lake and the mountains. It'll be beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
So that is the trip I have planned
I'm
for
so
you.
down. I feel so seen and honored by that. That really is so magical, Garrett.
So, as Rachel is wont to do, she often sends people to South America.
It's typical, huh?
It is typical,
I haven't done that in a while.
yeah, it's true. And I think I'm gonna partly fall into one of my usual pitfalls, which is sending you to a place that I have been.
Okay.
But I haven't been to all of this, so
Okay.
there's some cool stuff that I wish I could do. So I'm going to send you to the mountains. And when I say the mountains, I mean the mountains. The Himalayas.
Ooh.
So I'm going to send you to Nepal.
Ooh.
But it's not just mountains. So of course you'll hit up Kathmandu, which has like
Of course.
of course a beautiful Durbar Square, which is a UNESCO site as well. We're gonna be dripping in UNESCO. So it's just this beautiful red brick pagodas kind of all over. And while in Kathmandu, I'm sending you a month by yourself.
Okay.
While in Kathmandu, I'm gonna send you. In fact, I'm probably gonna have you stay this town outside of Kathmandu. It's one of my favorite places in the world, Bodhnath. It's a town all centered around this Buddhist stupa, and everybody just walks in circles, and you can sit in cafes and just watch the people walk in circles around the stupa, and you can join them and walk around in circles with them. Everybody's walking, some are praying, some are chatting, but everybody's there.
Wow.
And then outside, I'm going to send you to Chitwan, which is a national park in the south, down in the valleys. It's a jungle. And you are going to go with a guide because you have to, because there's rhinos, tigers, elephants, and bears. When I stayed there at night, they were like, don't leave the grounds because there's tigers, and you could hear the tigers roaring at night.
Whoa.
From our little like one bedroom little hut that we were staying in.
Wow.
So you'll go out and you'll see tigers and rhinos, and elephants are everywhere. You'll just see elephants everywhere.
Wow.
And it's hot and humid and jungly there. And then I'm going to send you on an 18-day trek, guided.
Wow.
To yeah?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to send you to the this is what I haven't done. The Upper Mustang Trek. It's north on the border with China, and only 1,000 people get to go a year.
Oh my God.
And you go from village to village, tea house to tea house with a guide. And you're hiking in just kind of like dry mountains. And then the villages are just patches of green that you dip down into, and where the water's flowing. And they just find a patch of green in the surrounded by beige. It's a lot like Ladakh, which is nearby, a place I've been. And
Just a place I've been.
Just a place I've been. I can list more places I've been, but it's just a beautiful trek to villages and meeting all these people that you'll be staying with while you're out there. Maybe get a homestay there while we're there.
I'd like that.
You'd like that?
Yeah. They also have crafts and textiles there.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
As well.
They do.
Interesting. No, they're just in Bolivia.
And in Kathmandu, there's the Garden of Dreams. It's this Edwardian kind of, it fell apart for a while and then it came back, and it still kind of has like this this charm of like overgrown, kind of lush, kind of fancy garden. There's a cafe there. You can get some tea and coffee, kind of looking out over the gardens. You can hang out with that lady.
A lady who's just, for some reason, appearing on Google Images.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yes. Yeah, so it's gonna be a month in Kathmandu, and then I'm also gonna send you down to Pokhara, a little town on a beautiful lake with beautiful with houseboats, just a lot of, and then surrounded by these mountains, by some of the greatest mountains in the world. Because you said you like mountains.
I love mountains.
But this is down here. It's not too cold because you're a little down below with these mountains all around you. Because you also said you like hot.
Yeah. And I don't like the South.
And you don't like the South.
Yeah.
This
Famously.
is pretty far north in Nepal and in India, in the Indian
it's any
subcontinent.
Country. It's any country.
As long as it's above the equator.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sending you to Nepal. So Chitwan to see the wild animals, the Upper Mustang Trek to see the Forbidden City in the Upper Mustang region, and the mountains there, and then Kathmandu, Bolnath, the Watch People, and Durbar Square, just because it's a beautiful ancient site.
You both nailed it. I know the
Thank
boss
you so
needs me to
much.
pick, but
The
both nailed
boss.
it. You understand that I don't eat, pray, love.
You eat.
I know, and you don't eat.
I guess on these both I would
Yeah,
pray,
that's so funny.
hike,
Yeah.
and textile.
Textile.
Yeah.
You should write that book.
Pray,
Hike,
the worst
textile.
book, at least
Pray,
10
hike, textile.
Yeah. Where I spend all day at the anthropology museum, and then I talk to a shaman, and she says, "You're gonna remain alone." I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's a good book." I literally am gonna do both, so that
Okay,
is
great.
off the boss's radar. That I will do both, and I
Okay.
appreciate those so much. And I feel so seen and valued. I think I have to do Bolivia first.
Garrett's just dying a slow death over there.
I really
I'm open to notes.
There's no notes. I'm going to both. But Bolivia feels, for my first trip, I do want to go to South America. It's like high on the list. That feels like a perfect place to like explore and land and have everything right there, like very accessible right there. And then I feel like Nepal feels more, maybe I'm wrong, more of a trek, more of an adventure that I want to do, but maybe I need to work my way up to
That's
a little
fair.
bit. But I want to do
jumped
both.
ahead.
No, you got me where I need to go.
Yeah.
You got me where I need to go. Those are both beautiful. And I truly feel seen. I feel valued and seen. I appreciate it so much.
Wait, what were your top 3 countries that are on your list?
I've never been to
Yeah.
Greece,
Oh!
where Garrett's people are from.
Yeah, my people are
Dang.
from. And I pitched Greece before. Did I pitch Amanda Greece?
I don't remember.
I don't remember who. I pitched Greece
that's an
recently.
obvious layup. The one
yeah.
reason why I haven't is I get overwhelmed. The booking of that and the planning of that does feel like, okay, you really do have to think about the islands and the travel. That's a
You
lot.
can't just show up.
You can't
You've
just
got
show
to
up.
have the
I
reservations
just showed up.
figured out.
Wow. Okay, cool. Okay, good.
But I didn't quite do it right. I just like bummed around Crete. So
Well, people do have their like versions of, they're like, oh, you can just stay in XYZ place and they love it. And
But
Yeah.
you're
whatever.
a planner.
I love to
you're
plan.
yeah.
And then the other, New Zealand, I really want to
I
go.
was thinking
Yeah.
about New Zealand. I was considering. Yeah. Okay.
The only thing that has been like a little ding on my list is that you have to have a car, and I prefer a country
Yeah.
where you don't have to be
Yeah,
driving.
same.
And then still haven't done. It's on the list. I'm doing it Pacific Northwest, Portland. I've never been to Portland.
That's number 3.
Yeah.
That's number 3.
Wow.
It's an accessible.
You can make
it
accessible
happen.
to happen.
Wait, I've actually sent you my Portland itinerary,
Yeah.
my Portland
And I'm
stuff. So
following
if
it.
Well,
But-
you're planning well in
Yeah.
advance.
so I think
Oh,
I think that
actually-
should count.
Wait.
I think that should count
Oh, the
because I've actually
technicality.
I see what you're saying.
sent
No,
you.
you lost the pitch. You lost the pitch.
And also, you did a lot of planning for my Japan trip,
Yes, it's
so
true.
that
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
appreciate.
So really, you should have.
yeah, I sent you a bunch of
known
stuff.
And I
better.
was
Yeah.
really sad because it's something you can't really do alone. Maybe you can. It's go to that Muscle Girls bar.
Oh,
I really
I
wanted to
know.
go. It is weird to go alone
I know.
as a woman.
No,
too. I like
Yeah.
no. I think it would have been weirder as a man.
Really?
I think so.
Oh, I wanted to go. I want to go.
At least for me, as a
Okay.
man like myself.
That's the one that got away from us.
Yeah.
We
Same.
really tried to make it happen, and it
know.
was just.
Let's all go.
Let's all go.
Let's
all go.
Let's all go. All right. Well, this was really helpful. I'm really excited to have my future told by a shaman.
Yeah.
I know. I'm excited to see what they come up with.
Yeah,
I
me
know.
too.
When this happens, we don't have the money to send you on the trip. But
No,
if
I
we do.
Yeah, we should specify this.
No, that's okay. I'm just glad your boss is going to be happy.
Yeah.
We're
We
just
want
trying to-
yeah.
You just have to
Happy.
please the boss.
Our
It
boss
is
daddy.
all about
yeah.
We just want Bus Daddy to be happy.
Yeah,
Boss
Boss
daddy.
All right. Well,
Thanks,
thank you so
guys.
much.
This was so great.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And don't forget to always remember where your passport is. And because I had a boyfriend who, one time we were going to go on a trip, and the night before he realized he didn't know where his passport was, and I actually couldn't believe that that was possible. And then it was a whole disaster. So everyone, if you're traveling with a person who's a planner, don't lose your passport.
Wow.
I lost my passport the day of my flight. And I was like looking for it. It was like hours before my flight was for Bosnia. It was hours before it was taking off. I was looking for it. Like the time to like catch a cab to the airport came.
Oh,
and my cab came and
God.
went. I couldn't find it. I gave up. I laid down on the bed, hung my head down upside down. And only from that vantage point could I see where it was. I grabbed it, booked it to the airport, and barely
That's
made it.
insane.
Yeah.
In your moment, it's like truly like Campbell's
Yes.
journey.
Yeah.
Like in your
I
lowest
know.
moment, your head hanging off the bed. Just, I'm a pathetic loser. I'm missing the whole trip. You
Yes.
see it there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Bye. All right. So I think technically that's a tie.
I don't think so.
No, because she said she's going to go on both trips, but your trip was easier, so she'll probably do it first. So she's picking your trip because of that. So I think technically
I still
we can
think
sell it to our boss as a tie.
I think that's a valid reason to choose a trip, though. That's like it sounds like you're trying to say it doesn't count because it's easier, but I think accessibility is part of the criteria for people.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Some trips are, we as Americans, we don't have a lot of time or like ability to go on some of the bigger trips, and I think mine was one of those bigger trips.
I think let's cut through the bullshit. How does it feel to lose for the fourth time in a row?
How was did we end last season on a losing streak with me too? I don't remember.
I think so. It may be more than 4 times
maybe
in a row.
4. Yeah. Oh boy. It doesn't feel great. But I think I can pick things up. I think I can pick things back up.
Oh my gosh, foreshadowing.
I think I don't know. Also listening to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not always as prepared. I don't know. I feel like I'm winging it a lot, even though I do a lot of research. 15 minutes of research.
Yeah, because I'm winging it.
Yeah, you're winging it too. You're a better improviser.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll
Well-
take the compliment.
All right. Well, email us. Let us know who you think is a better improviser.
Whose trip would you go on?
Yeah, whose trip would you go on? I would love to start hearing from audiences whose trip they would go on.
Yeah, actually, I
Yeah.
think that would be awesome.
I know. So then we could turn that into our boss and have not just
have
the
a wider
data.
sample.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Data.
Yeah,
Exciting.
I know. I'm going to make a spreadsheet.
Yes. Yeah, you're going to be like, I actually won this one.
Yeah.
This is a poor man's attempt at reclaiming victory.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
week. Bye.